So for the past few days, I've had access to XCOM Chimera Squad, and I gotta say, I'm super stoked about this, and I'm happy to be starting a new series on it. I think you guys are really going to dig it. The turn order system is a really massive and frankly welcome change. It feels like a brand new XCOM experience. There's still some familiar mechanics and some familiar enemies, so I think previous knowledge of how those enemies and mechanics work are going to help you in your decision making throughout the game. I also just want to take a second to thank 2K and Firaxis. Like, these guys have created and published some of my favorite games, and I really appreciate the support that they've always given to the channel. They're in fact sponsoring the first episode of this series, and I'm so grateful that they're supporting me. It means the world, so thanks so much to those guys. Speaking of episodes, over the next few days, I'm going to be putting out multiple per day. So if you aren't already, now would be a good time to get subbed up. And if you enjoy the video, a thumbs up really does help to get the video noticed on YouTube. And for that, I would be grateful. We're going to be diving in right away. We're going to be playing on Impossible. And at times, it's actually going to feel that way. But on this difficulty, since you can't activate the tutorial, you might miss out on some small story bits. So I'm going to play a small montage of the clips from the tutorial to get us up to speed story-wise, and then I'll switch over to the Impossible difficulty campaign. Normally, I would recommend playing on Iron Man just because your choices matter. But because it's a new release, I'd rather just have some continuous saves in case of a crash, or if that one save file got corrupted, I'd be devastated. So I will still do an Honest Man run where we can't load any previous saves. The only times that we'll have to load a save is if we fail a mission in which the game forces you to reload that encounter or that save. So let's get into the tutorial story montage, and I will see you on the other side.
Two minutes out.
Hey, Godmother. Is this like the old days? XCOM swooping in and taking it to the bad guys?
I wouldn't know. I spent most of the war training resistance networks.
Like mine. And for your many, long years of service.
Watch it.
XCOM attaches you to an untested squad and pushes it into the field before it's ready. How is this not like the old days?
I'm just happy to be here. I missed out during the war. Wish I could have pulled my weight.
For which side, exactly?
I find that very hurtful.
Sure thing, Advent.
We are through the checkpoint.
I was never actually Advent.
But they were fitting you for a blocky helmet.
Stow it, both of you. We're here. 3-1 PD gave us the all clear. Grab your gear and prepare to move in. Whisper, what's your status?
And what's Verge's ETA?
Comms are working, obviously. Verge is en route.
How? Verge can't drive.
He hailed the cap.
To a hostage situation?
Focus. Whisper, any surprises in the next room?
A handful of hostiles, unaware of your approach.
Chimera Squad, take positions. Prep for breach.
Stay behind me. Stay close, okay?
You see this?
Huh. Interesting.
Contact!
Clear.
Verge? What took you so long?
Had to unpack a breaching charge.
Good man.
Not exactly.
You know what I mean.
I always do.
So creepy. Don't ever change.
Verge, form up. Any hostiles in the next room?
Yes, I can feel them.
Breach! Breach! Breach!
Wait, hold. Hostage confirmed in the next room.
We need more than that.
3-1 PD has a live feed. Patching through.
If you surrender, I will advocate leniency.
Enough. This exhibit, it is about XCOM's role in our liberation.
I see you read the placard.
It doesn't say how they went soft and got weak. Now, it's up to us to light the spark.
He's holding a detonator.
Go, now!
Making a path.
Minor hearing loss.
You're Nightingale. I'll protect you.
Mayor Nightingale, are you all right?
It looks worse than it is. Those medikits are really something.
Compliment accepted.
What about Cherub?
Yeah, think so. Only thing injured is my pride.
And your diaphragm. And a few ribs.
Who's counting?
None of this should have happened.
Most people say thank you.
I'm grateful, of course. But these people don't have the capability for any of this.
Explain.
I read their threat assessment. A month ago, these insurgents were all talk and no capability. The greatest threat they posed was to bottles of alcohol.
Why tell us? Why now?
City 31 shows the world how humans, hybrids, and aliens can keep a lasting peace. I'm the public face of this. Tonight, someone wanted what I represent to go up in flames.
We're not in town for local intrigue.
I know, but right now you're the only ones I'm certain are fighting for that same peace. Can I count on your support?
Yes, ma'am. Package delivered to 31 PD.
She truly believes what she says.
That's why she's in charge.
Not too shabby for our first official mission.
Don't do that.
Don't do what?
Celebrate before a mission is complete. It's
It's bad luck.
Ouch.
Tonight, Mayor Nightingale perished in an explosion at City 31's Memorial Museum. The identity of her assailants is unknown at this time. The City Council asks citizens to remain...
So she gets vaporized the same day XCOM sends Chimera Squad to our city? You hear that voice in your head? That's me telling you to wake up!
Despite opposition, Mayor Nightingale's deciding vote brought the Reclamation Agency to the city. Without her support, Chimera Squad's continued presence is an open question.
Okay, so one of the key changes from playing without the tutorial is that you actually get to select the heroes that you're starting with. In the tutorial, coming in with basically canon characters that show up in the tutorial. Some of them are great, some of them I think are less strong, but it also allows you to just make a squad that you feel the most comfortable with. And on this difficulty, I think that that's really important. You also want to consider which faction you're going to be going up against, but I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself. So I think that we're going to go with a few of my favorites, and then a Mimi choice. Not even, he's really strong, but we're going to pick Torque. We're going to pick the Viper because obviously we can play as the Viper. We're going to do it. Really cool class as well. Really good abilities and some cool breach options as well. I'm also going to pick Axiom. He's going to kind of play as our tank, smashy smash, angry Muton, and I think that he's a lot of fun to play with. I am also going to go with Terminal, and I would highly recommend, if it's your first time playing, Terminal is a really safe bet because every turn she can spam this Safeguard, which is a 4 HP heal, gets rid of burning, acid, poison, and grants extra defense. And you get to use it every turn. The way abilities work in this game is very different. We'll get into that in a bit. And then for our last choice, I've been kind of split. There's some really cool options out here. Verge is a great option for kind of disabling enemies temporarily with some stuns. Cherub is really good for shielding people. Patchwork is really good against robotic enemies. And I'm leaning more towards picking somebody like Patchwork right from the get-go, because we're probably going to face up against the robotic faction first, and her chaining jolt does extra damage to robotic enemies, so I think that makes a lot of sense. There's a lot of others in here. Some of them I've used, some of them I haven't, but yeah, I'm excited to try this out. We'll go through these agent bios later on as well, because they all have these cool backstories, and there's some neat little hints in there but we'll get to that maybe towards the end of the episode. So we're starting out with Axiom, Torque, Patchwork, and Terminal for this playthrough. Let's begin.
Chimera Squad, heads up. Director's on the line from XCOM HQ.
Chimera Squad, I know you're still settling in, but this cannot wait.
Director Kelly.
A short time ago, insurgents
Jane.
crashed the opening
How cool
of
is
City
that?
31's Memorial Museum. They took Mayor Nightingale hostage. 3-1 PD attempted a rescue, but the insurgents triggered a plasma bomb. Everyone inside was lost. Yes, 3-1 PD should have requested our help, but dwelling on that is counterproductive. We need to focus on what we do next. A crude plasma bomb killed the mayor. The insurgents had no access to materials for that.
Does that mean they had outside help?
Most likely. There are 3 groups in City 31 with access to this kind of ordnance.
Okay, so this is a really important decision, and I have had the opportunity to play against 2 of these guys for small periods of time. I've played against Grey Phoenix, I've played against Sacred Coil, and I have not played against Progeny yet. They're all very unique, and so these guys focus more on psionics, I think, and we'll eventually go against all of them. You have to do full investigations through each of these factions to move on to the next one. I'm going to go to Sacred Coil first because I think we'll have a better time early on, specifically with the classes that we picked. And then we'll probably go into like Progeny and then maybe save Grey Phoenix for the end. So I get to experience something totally blind with you guys when we move over to Progeny. So let's go Sacred Coil, an underground religious movement for hybrids. They preach salvation, but only to those who once fought XCOM. Let's go.
Sacred Coil is what happens when former Advent officers find religion, or create one. They claim to be the true path for City 31's hybrids, as long as that path involves armed sedition.
Director, these are local criminals. Isn't that 3-1 PD's jurisdiction?
True. The Reclamation Agency supports local police, but we're also required to recover dangerous material.
From those who would do the world harm, and each of those groups is neck deep in the stuff. So what next?
Focus on a single group. Investigate, dismantle their operations, and take them down.
Meanwhile, we look for any links to the mayor's death. Either way, a dangerous organization is off the streets.
Exactly. The city wants justice for Mayor Nightingale. This is how we help them achieve it.
So a lot of that stuff that they were talking about is kind of summarizing what I showed you in the tutorial montage, but in the tutorial you get a little bit more detail on how everything went down. Yeah, now we're all completely up to speed. So the way investigations work, we're going to be working through different types of missions and situations to find their leader and eventually take down this group. And then you move on to focus on further investigations of those other groups. And then who knows how it all comes together in the end. I have no idea. I've not gotten very far. So our investigation status right now, we need to know more about the Sacred Coil before we can proceed. There is faction leadership that we'll try to uncover at some point, and then we have an investigation log. Notice dark events here. Those will come into play a little bit later, and let's get moving. So right off the bat, normally tutorial stuff would be kicking in really heavy right now, but city map is essentially your geoscape. Assembly is where you do research projects.
Sent us an assembly. With the right patterns, we can build anything. Or we could with the latest version. What you're looking at is the extremely finicky 2038 model.
Good, yeah.
It'll take time
I want the
to
finicky
stress
model.
test our patterns, but once we have them, we're good to go.
So all of these essentially research projects or assembly projects cost Illyrium to do. So Illyrium is what drives your new unlocks. Intel is used for purchasing field teams, buying things from the scavenger market, which shows up every once in a while. Field teams are hugely important. We'll get into that in a little bit. And then credits, of course, are for buying new items or doing upgrades. So we're going to start with the Android personnel. Construct an Android OPS hub. This network allows you to use androids on tactical missions and enables new assembly projects. You're going to get one free Android unit, and you can buy more of them if you want in supply once this is done. And then this is going to get us access to additional assembly projects. The way that these androids essentially work is between encounters. There's multiple encounters on some missions. If one of your team goes down and you can stabilize them, then they're out of the mission. And you can replace them at the next breach point with one of the androids. So these guys do become important in really tough missions if somebody goes down. You can see here, we've also got the armory where everyone's chilling out, which is really cool. We can just like click on each of these guys. We can check out their loadout. We can tint some of their armors a little bit. Let's go here. And I think I'm leaning more towards tinting based on the class. So like red, he's kind of like our assault class. Terminals, more healing. So I'm going to go yellow. Patchwork is more robotics. This is not her actual skills, but it does carry over from when we were on Axiom. She's got the chaining jolt, the hacking of the door, and she can hack other enemies as well. We could give her maybe a teal option. And then for the snake, let's go into something a little bit more toned down. Or we could go green for the poison immunity and eventually some other cool skills. Okay, so there's our basic squad. Now, if you're just figuring out XCOM Chimera squad, you're realizing that we're not naming these guys. So these are all predetermined characters, and I think that lends itself extremely well to the story that they're trying to tell. And so for that reason, if somebody dies, you have to restart the mission or the encounter. You could play on a hardcore mode where if you fail a mission, the whole thing is like over and you can't continue on. I highly advise against doing that in your first playthrough because you will fail missions. I will fail missions, and I will come up with a creative way to show you when I redo missions, and hopefully it makes a lot of sense. Okay, we also have the Spec Ops
squad for special operations. Some ops provide useful resources for the squad. Keep an eye out for these opportunities.
So you can put people in here for 3 days currently. Additional projects will unlock eventually. And you can gain Illyrium, you can gain intel, you can gain credits, depending on what you need. Right now, since we only have 4 people, we need them all on the APC to go out. You can also put people into training.
You need to maintain your skills, physical and mental. Training is the place to do it. It's also where you can adapt to any lasting wounds received in the field. So don't let those wounds linger. You'll pay for them in the long term.
Yeah, and he's absolutely right. So you could bring somebody in here, and basic conditioning is something I want to put all of these guys through as soon as I possibly can, because HP at the beginning is very, very low. And it's very scary because they're fragile. So we're not going to do it now because we don't have extra people, but eventually we want to get them all leveled up in here. Also, if you get a scar, which is like if you incur a really bad wound, if you don't get that taken care of, that wound can get worse on future missions. And then it's just get rid of them as soon as you possibly can, as soon as you feel comfortable doing it. So let's get out to the city map.
Welcome to City 31. During Advent's occupation, the city was a fortress supporting an active starport. 5 years after XCOM won the war, it's home to aliens, hybrids, and humans alike. There's new industry, self-government, and local agriculture to support the varied populations.
Varied
Against
populations.
all odds, this city thrived after the war. There were no retributive attacks.
Until tonight.
We don't know that. Not yet. But we can find out.
Okay, so we're essentially split into 9 different districts, and each of the districts can be fielded by a field team. Now, these are super, super important because what these eventually do is let you control the anarchy within the districts and within the city. So this city anarchy is essentially avatar progress. If this maxes out, game over. There's nothing you can do. If you let these guys get into high unrest, then any turn or any day that begins with a district at max unrest adds to the city anarchy. So you really have to bounce around and try to feel out like where you should be trying to mitigate some of the unrest and try to control this anarchy. So first up, there's multiple things that can happen here. Probably on our next mission, we'll have options of choosing maybe situations, missions, whatever. Situations are resolved immediately. Missions, you send people out to do things. And there's often some trade-offs that's going to happen. You're not going to be able to handle all of these districts. Some of them are eventually going to hit higher unrest, and you just have to live with it. The first thing I'm going to do is, we have some intel right now. I'm going to go ahead and just buy a field team. And your first field team, you can see the prices down here. These increase with each one that you buy, and then you eventually level them up to get additional bonuses. So right now, I'm going to focus, I think, on intel. So every Friday, we're going to get 10 intel from this. Let's buy a security team. There's also some late level bonuses you want to be considering. So, for example, this -1 district unrest for completing district situations. It's very nice to have. -2 district unrest every Friday. Also very nice to have. +1 bonus Operation Reveal bonus. Or sorry, Operation Reveal point bonus reward on district missions. So it does matter, but at the same time, you don't want to just pick all one type because your costs are going to get out of control. So let's go ahead and start with a security field team. We'll put it in downtown. And this is the only thing that's happening from this right now. But it unlocks our first field team ability. So we have something called Vigilance, which can reduce district unrest in whichever district we want. We have Quarantine, where we can freeze district unrest, but we have to have 4 or more field teams. So I want to get up to 4 or more field teams ASAP. We have Dragnet, where you can grant or gain extra situation rewards, but you need to have 1 or more field teams at rank 3, which takes some time. And then lastly, you can reduce city anarchy. I don't know what the cooldown is because I've never gotten far enough to have a field team in every district, but that is a really good goal to be able to control this. Okay, let's get into our first mission, shall we? Whisper here. I'll keep you updated on any activities requiring our attention. Speaking of which, Sacred Coil is raiding a storage facility that holds Advent-era contraband. We should prevent that, right? And you get 30 credits from this. Let's do it. Moderate difficulty.
We are not the police. If you see a theft, call it into 3-1 PD and move on. But there is one notable exception. Hostile forces carrying dangerous contraband may attempt to flee the scene. Don't let them escape.
Okay, now, on this mission, there's a couple of key things to point out. We're going to have 3 encounters. Okay, so 3 basically sub-missions within the mission. That means we're going to breach 3 times, and we're going to have 3 separate battles. The projected breach options are a door, a window, and a keypad door. So that helps you determine what type of breaching options you want to bring in. So if we head over to supply,
has all the basics: weapons, comms, and ammunition. Supply is where we request everything else. As long as it's in the squad's budget, it's ours.
So in supply, there's a couple of things here. So notice the auto key card gets you access through a security door. Now we have a keypad door here, so that's different. We're not going to purchase this just yet. We can have a breaching charge, which can destroy walls, but we don't see that as a breaching option either, so we'll hold off on that. A ceasefire grenade is pretty good, disables all firearms in a large radius. Flashbangs disorient hostile targets in a large radius. Friendly units are unaffected. There's medikits to restore 4 HP and remove burning acid poison. Also grants you immunity to poison if you're carrying it. Smoke rounds to boost defense. Tracer rounds to grant an additional 5 aim, which seems really low for the cost. But I don't know, maybe long term that will be something good. If you have the extra money, it's nice to buy. And then tranq rounds, if the target would be killed, they'd be rendered unconscious instead. Unconscious units are captured at the end of each mission. Really important, and I'll tell you why when we get into the mission. But you, as much as you can, you want to knock people out instead of killing them. But, you know, the mission first, this is like a nice to have. So I think I'm going to grab a medikit to start out with. I don't want to spend all of our cash. Some of these guys are a little bit fragile, but Axiom's the one I'm going to be throwing at people. So let's set him up with the medikit, and I can give him the breaching charge that we have as standard. As far as I know, these don't change unless something weird happens, but there's no real downside in having an extra thing equipped that you don't need. We got submachine guns, shotgun, submachine gun, assault rifles. Let's go. Oh, I'm excited. I hope I hope the explanation for all of that stuff made sense.
Earlier this week, a security camera spotted Sacred Coil flunkies sniffing around this warehouse.
Oh, not
Today,
flunkies.
the silent alarm went off. The place is full of Advent-era contraband on the way to a tech vault.
Do they have any muton-sized boots? Our standard issue footwear pinches my ankles.
And see, like, they have, like, really good banter, and if you listen during missions, sometimes just at base, the banter between them is actually hilarious. But if you guys have questions about anything that I previously explained, mechanics-wise, please let me know in the comments, and I will get you sorted as best as I can. Now, this is our first breach. So there's multiple options. Each option adds or basically gives you a buff or a debuff to the person going in there. So anybody going in through the side door gets to activate Overwatch after the breach, which is nice. Going in through the side window grants low visibility, so enemies are harder to hit for this person. Going in the main door, the last unit through this entrance gets an extra action point, and units automatically activate Overwatch after the breach. So I'm looking at these, and I think it makes a lot of sense to just keep everybody together for right now. We'll send him through first. Next up, we're going to send somebody like Patchwork, because she's got that jolt, and if we see robotic enemies, we might be able to take one down really quick. We can go Torque next, and then Terminal last. She's going to basically be our healer. Now, it's important to note that the order in which you put these guys through determines their order in the timeline. People going through the same door are going to be closer in the timeline. If we were to split these guys up, then you might see some extra enemies pop in between. We'll still see enemies in between some of these guys, but it just tries to group them up a little bit closer. So part of your strategy is, how do you split these up? When do you split these up? How should you split them up? And go from there. You can also change, if you're putting in multiple breaches, then you can change the order in which these guys are going to be acting. And that, again, determines the order in their timeline for the groups that you have in these breach options. So anyways, doesn't matter here because we're only going in with one breach option. So remember, the last unit through this entrance gets an extra action point. So she'll get to do more than she usually would. And actually, for that reason, I'm gonna put him in there last. So that he gets an extra action point with this shotgun. Might get to move a couple of times, get into a better position, what have you. Okay, let's actually switch this as well. Based on that change, we're just gonna kind of shift everybody up one. Okay, let's go.
We're going in.
Okay, so during the breach, I love this. This is so sick. Early on, I mean, I hope we stomp. I hope that I hope I can make it look easy. We only have 3 enemies in here, and that was indicated on the breach as well. Different chances to hit based on some of the cover that they're in, sometimes distance, weapon range. You can see it has an impact. But yeah, we've got 3 basic androids in here. Each of them have a point of armor. I think on lower difficulties, they don't have armor, and they might even have less HP. But let's begin. Now, there's 2 ways of thinking about how to target things in here. You either target the really scary enemies, you try to kill as many enemies as you can, or in certain situations, you might want to try to weaken as many enemies as you can to pick up the kills during your rounds, and it'll make a bunch of sense why you'd want to do that in a second. So we're coming in with pretty high percentages to hit here. This guy will be the next one that we can target with reasonable success, and 94% chance here. Let's go, big boy. Nice. All right. So one scary thing, one of the things that I was really worried about when I first started playing this is, like, I don't get to control where my guys go at the beginning of a breach.
Covering.
So they breach in here and then they take cover, and you're reliant on just dealing with it at this point. So yeah, anyway. So he's got that extra action here, and I was hoping that it would give us, well, it does actually give us enough room to get over there. we could send him in there for a smash. And we should probably talk about their abilities, and we'll talk about what this objective is. So in the top left, this is our first of 3 encounters this mission. So we need to clear the contraband storage warehouse, prevent the sacred coil from escaping with mech parts. Now, if these guys do escape, I'm pretty sure they show up in later encounters in this mission. So getting them out early is nice. There's a couple of things going on here. You'll see some icons. This is signifying which ones are going to try to make a run for it. You're also going to notice the numbers, and that's their position in this timeline. So everything you do is, all the decisions you make should be based on what the priority of the objective is, or the of the encounter, and where the enemies are in the timeline. So this guy is 6th, right? He's not as high of a priority as this guy, because he's going to try to leave right now. So I'm going to try and get over there and deal with him. Now, we have our bonus action from the breach, so we're going to use that, and then it's going to go over to Patchwork's turn. So we'll have to make a decision. Do we try and get rid of this guy? Kind of depends on what happens here. So he's got a couple of skills right off the bat. Smash, so he runs in, smashes down. It's a decent % chance to hit, 80% here. Trust me, just like any Muton or any melee game in any XCOM, it feels like he misses way more than he should. But when he hits, it's really good. He has a chance to disorient, stun, or render unconscious. And if he has higher rage, which we'll talk about in a second, it's going to improve the chance to apply one of those effects. So he's also got Psych Up. It's he can go in and increase his rage. It's a free action that goes on cooldown for 1 turn. Higher rage increases the chance of applying those effects we talked about, but it also increases the risk of him going berserk and doing something that you can't control, which is usually good, but it can sometimes be really bad. He also gains rage when he is taking damage. So let's go ahead and Psych Up first.
Ready for action.
It's got +1 rage, and that's a free action. As I said, you can do that every turn. Eventually, we'll see down here what his rage is at. But I'm going to send him in and see if we can't get this guy. 3 to 6 damage. It's a wide range. It'd be really nice to just pick up the kill, but... Okay, so he's disoriented. We'll take it. We'll take it disorient. Yeah. So from here, we have a couple of options. Patchwork is really strong against this faction for 2 reasons. Number 1, Chaining Jolt, which is essentially combat protocol. So you go in, you deal damage to any unit. It's guaranteed damage, which is really nice. And you do more damage to robotic enemies. I can't actually see this guy over here from her position. So I'm hoping the disorientation prevents him from running out. But if he does, he's weak, so it's not a huge deal. She also has Reprogram, which she can attempt to hack. And it's got a 4-turn cooldown if it succeeds. Otherwise, you can try it every turn, and it's super important. These abilities, most of them are, you can use them every single turn. If you can't use it every turn, it means it's really strong, and you should be using it as often as you can. We'll get into the other stuff in a second, but we're going to try to reprogram here. Against basic androids, it's a pretty decent chance. It's got -30 hacking defense here. Her base hacking is only adding +5, but 75, let's go for it. It doesn't end the turn, so even if we don't get the hack, we could kill him. Looks like we got it. Sick. So this is good for a couple of reasons. 1, he's on our side now. 2, we get to use his ability, which is a really cool, like, self-destruct type thing. And 3, it's another target for the enemies. So very, very powerful to be able to pull that off. Now, unfortunately, I can't see this guy, and I would really like to be shooting. I don't think... I could try an Overwatch. I could try an Overwatch here. All of the Overwatch is handled via cones. It's not just shoot at anybody that moves type of thing. And he is going to try to go out through this way. I don't know if he's going to be able to get there because of the disorientation, but I think that's our best chance right now. Let's see what he does. Come on. Oh! Okay. Okay, now that happened because that wasn't our Overwatch. That was the Overwatch that was set during the breach. But still sick that it landed. So I'm happy about that. Okay, so we have only one guy to deal with right now. This is going exceptionally well. And I'll try to show off some of these other abilities here. With these SMGs, they have this spray and pray where missed shots have a chance to deal partial damage. Kind of like a stock, but doesn't happen all the time. So you can't really rely on it. So let's talk about Torque. He's got Bind, where you can wrap up an enemy, dealing damage, preventing them from acting on their turn. Bound enemies cannot be targeted by XCOM for risk of damaging Torque, and it's a free action. Yeah, it's a free action. You kind of keep him out of combat, but he can essentially lock somebody down for the entire encounter if he's in a safe position. He also has Tongue Pull, which works as you would expect. You can pull from quite a distance. Some oversized targets can't be pulled as you would expect, but let's see. We're going to try a Tongue Pull here. Weapon accuracy 20. He's in low cover. That's the only reason that we're getting anything under 100. But let's see if we can snag him here. That triggers the Overwatch that these guys were on. Really dirty. Really dirty. We could just bind him, but I'm actually going to go for a subdue here. I don't want to kill him. These subdues are really important. I talked about it when I was talking about the tranquilizer rounds. So what this does is essentially it's guaranteed 2 to 3 damage, but it is guaranteed damage of at least 2. It knocks them unconscious, and then you'll see at the end of the mission
Sacred Coil stole
how that comes into
mech
play.
parts. The kind you can't easily replicate.
Those parts are only useful if they have mech battle frames on hand.
Oh, mechs? Great. Lovely. Yeah, so you have higher chances of gaining intel the more bodies that you bring back that are unconscious. And it maxes out at 5. For every body you bring back, it's essentially a 20% chance of gaining 20 intel. So if you bring back 5, that's a 100% chance of getting 20 intel, which is huge. That's a lot of intel. And you want to be getting that. Okay, so a couple of different things happening here. There's 2 enemies that we could target through this side. There's 4 through the middle and 3 on this side. Now, this is low visibility, so enemies are harder to hit. We're going to try to avoid that. There's a delayed snare. The last unit through this entrance is going to be rooted for 1 round. So you want to put somebody in there that is generally going to be okay just staying in their 1 position. And then Helping Hand. The last unit through this entrance will receive an extra action point. So let's do something like this. We'll put him in the front. The last person in, I think we're going to put Terminal. And then we'll give an extra action here to Torque and see how that plays out. So she'll be rooted. He'll have an extra action. Let's go.
Follow me.
There's also additional agent skills that will unlock eventually for breaching, where you can like have combat scanners for increased aim on this breach, and there's a bunch of cool options in there that we'll get into later. Okay, so what are we dealing with? More androids, a commando, a little bit stronger commandos. Okay, the androids we can try to hack. We don't really have amazing shots on commandos. You're also going to notice that some of them are surprised, some of them are alert, and some of them are hostile. Surprise means they're not going to take an action when the breach ends. Alert means that they're going to go into some type of either defensive pose, or they might toss a cover grenade. They're going to get to do something, but they're not going to attack you generally. And then hostile means they're going to attack you after the breach, so you might want to prioritize killing them if you can. So percentage to hit wise, not looking super good here. He does have a shotgun, so if we can get a 93 shot here, if we have a chance at killing him. Oh, he crit too. Didn't kill him though. Did not kill him on the crit. Unfortunate. Let's clean this up. It's a guaranteed kill. Okay, that other android we're totally going to ignore because we can try to hack it, or we can just zap it and kill it. We also have other options for cover rush here. So if we go into cover rush, you get 75 defense and 75 dodge until this agent's first turn. So if you don't have any really good options, might be better off just to do that. 57 I don't feel amazing about, but if we get a couple of 57s, statistically, okay, his aim much better, and he's not in cover from this position. So let's go for it. Nice. Remember, he's gonna get that extra action here.
All shall follow.
There we go. So he's tossing down a smoke. There's another android over there that we couldn't even see. And you can see same thing. And it tells you which ones are going to try to run on this round. This guy is a bit of a problem, actually. We'll see what we can do there. Okay. So does he get that extra action on his turn? Maybe I misread that. That's okay. So, psych up. Let's go ahead and throw this down.
Who wants some?
And he's going next, so we probably want to just go right at him. We could come over here and just shoot him. And we have a higher likelihood of landing that because this is at 80%. So I think for now, we're going to do that. Much higher crit chance as well. See you later, baby. Okay. So he's handled. Next guy acting is this commando back here. Can we get into range to subdue? I absolutely can. And this is going to put us in their smoke cloud to give us higher defense. The problem is, with this approach, is that I won't be targeting this guy that's going to try to run. But this guy's going to try to run as well. So we have to make a judgment call. This might be a decent opportunity to try our team up ability. Now, you can only use this once per mission. Not per encounter, per mission. I tend to hold it as long as I possibly can. But I think in this situation, because these two are both trying to escape, getting these both taken care of would be ideal. And what this lets us do is move somebody's turn up right after us. So Terminal will act and then somebody else will act in front of this guy. So I think I'm going to put, I'm going to give it to Axiom here. And we'll go in and subdue this target. Oh! I did it the wrong way! No! I did it the wrong way. That's right, my bad. Got a little ahead of myself because we did want to use her to zap him. I don't know if he's going to be able to get all the way over there. But, you know, it is his turn now. So that's okay. First misplay of the season. Let's get it out of the way. Okay, so now we can actually see his rage is at 2. And honestly, he'll go into berserk mode from 2 rage, from 3 rage, 4 rage. You never know. Higher the rage gets, the higher chance he's going to go into berserk mode. Let's do another psych up here. I don't know if I'm going to be able to deal with that android, but hopefully that's far enough away and he won't be able to make it. I think we'll go in here and we'll take the shot again. He's got armor though, so we're going to need like the full 6 damage. Didn't quite get it. But Terminal is rooted as well. Yeah, it's a bit of a problem. That's okay. We misplayed a little bit. Now, this safeguard ability, even if you don't need to heal somebody, use it every turn. Use it every turn. It doesn't end your turn, and it also gives extra defense. So it's really, really helpful. Being rooted, who do I want to give this to? Who's most exposed? I would say Patchwork is most exposed to this guy. More than likely, he's going to trigger his self-destruct. Let's see if this guy manages to get away. I'm going to set preparation here. This is kind of like the new hunker down. It's going to increase your defense by 30, your dodge by 50, and you take your next turn earlier on the timeline. So if I don't have her selected, she's going to drop below Axiom here. Now if I go preparation, you can see it's going to put her in front of Axiom next turn. So there's his prime for self-destruct. And he's going to take... Oh! Okay. Shot out the acid canisters. Dirty. I like it. I like it a lot. Good for you. That's fantastic. Okay, so we're going to have some trouble getting there. If we kill him now, he's going to explode. And I think Axiom might be in range. If I pull him, it's going to be the same problem back here. So I think what we might do, let's move up a tad here. Got the acid burn. Love it. And he is going to take some damage there. I could avoid doing that. He's going on this, he's going last, so I'm gonna set this like back here. I don't think it's gonna accomplish anything against this android, but I'm not gonna blow that guy up just yet. Okay, so he is short. He is short, thankfully. Now, our reprogram is on cooldown from our previous encounter, but we've got the chaining jolt. This does end the turn, but it's way more damage against robotics, so we're going to take him down.
Frying circuits. Marginal as always.
Excellent. And then we're going to essentially use Axiom to kill this guy, but hopefully from a distance. And let's go safeguard here. Get rid of that acid, heal him back up.
I didn't ask for this.
And then we'll just start moving. Not much you can do back here.
Almost dry.
And then I'll set up over on this side. We could subdue, but I think he still explodes if that's the case. So I'm going to take the next best thing. Nice. You'll also notice there are civilians around here. Letting civilians get killed can be a problem, and you can run up to them and save them.
Coil is on the run.
They don't add any bonuses,
Don't lose
though.
them in the warehouse.
Okay, so here's our third encounter of this mission. So you'll notice here it says agent damage is likely. That means there's hostile units behind these doors. This one's showing 2, this one's showing 2, this one's showing 2. This is gonna, whoever we put through here, having weapon disabled, successful shots during this breach will stun. And same thing over here. So let's go ahead and put him through first. And we'll put somebody through the side window just so we have a different option. Maybe we'll put Torque in there. And then Patchwork next and Terminal last. So these three are all together. If we move this up, let's say we wanted this to be a priority. Notice how he moves up in the timeline. But we'll keep him down below. So successful shots are going to stun. Let's go. Keep that in mind.
Behind me.
Breaching now.
So if we can stun some of these hostile units, we can avoid them taking their shots at us. So aggressive. Hostile, aggressive. That's the right terminology. Not an amazing chance here. It is with the shotgun from quite a distance. So 65. Whiffed it. That's okay. 80%. Classic XCOM. 70%. There we go. And the crit, too. Dirty. Who cares about stuns? And then we have a Purifier. These are a little bit scarier than they used to be. And let's see if we can get this on him. Wow, double crits. Very nice. Didn't even need the stuns. So again,
Target in sight.
In this room, if previous evacs would have gotten out, this would be way more difficult because the enemies start to stack up towards the end of the encounter. We can allow 2 to go, but we cannot allow 3. So we have to keep that in mind. This android is really close. If I'm not able to kill him right now, I might just say, you know what? Let's let him go. This guy is trying to get out. And maybe I target him first. Because trying to get to him is not... We have to roll the 6 damage, and it's just not consistent. We could try a smash, but he's got pretty high defense. We could try a smash here, but the damage range is too scary. So what I'll do... what would our chances be there? It's pretty good. I'm going to put him right into the thick of things here. And what I'll do is I'll do 1 psych up.
On the edge.
And we'll take the shot at this guy that's trying to escape. Even though his turn is way lower, it's somebody that now we don't have to worry about. We could argue that going for the commando would be good. Him, because I couldn't kill him, I'm like, well, I'm going to let him go. Patchwork. Okay. Purifier is 5th. This guy is next. And we could move over here and put some guaranteed damage in. But I think we might be better off putting guaranteed damage on this guy. And then we should be able to kill him by the time his turn comes up. This second guy's going to attack. I feel like his rage is high enough where anything that happens, he's going to go off. So, let's see.
Call the prey.
You got a crit. That's unfortunate. +1 rage. You can see it reset to 0. So there it goes. Let's see who he goes on. Going on the purifier. Sick. I'll take it. So Axiom, I found the best success with just getting him in there. Just go. Now we're at the last encounter. So I could heal. Yes, I could do that. But I kind of want to get shots on here as best as I can. We all get to go before he does, so let's just ensure that we can kill him. Or, well, preferably subdue him, but our guys are too strong. We're hitting too hard. We've done it. First one, down. Excellent rating. Mech heist curtailed. Good work. Last thing City 31 needs is more Advent mechs spreading terror. Oh, and Director Kelly is on the line. I'll patch her through when you get back to base. Gives us some nice mission stats here. Here's the captured enemy chances. So because we captured 2, that means a 40% chance to get that 20 intel. Wish we could have captured more near the end there, but our shots were just too strong, which is a pretty good problem to have. I actually really like this APC loading and unloading. I love it a lot. So we didn't get the intel at 40% chance. Normally that would show here. Also, whenever we finish these missions, I'm going to read this from the archives. There's some interesting stuff in here. So Bradford, aliens in your agency? Jane, what are you thinking? Kelly says, this is Director Kelly. What is our greatest existential threat? And he says, the Elders returning. Kelly says, if they do, who will we need to fight them off? Bradford says, everyone, I get it. I've seen the projections, but do you really think the commander will go for this? And Kelly says, I think the commander has always seen the bigger picture. Transcript of Reclamation Working Group meeting, 2037, August 25th. Sick.
If Sacred Coil went after mechs, they need soldiers. But for what army? They were underground until Mayor Nightingale's election drove them to the surface. Their hatred for her gave them motive. Find out if Sacred Coil had the means to carry out an assassination.
Cool. So now our investigation status gets updated. So good work here. Oh, and Director Kelly's on the line. It's the thing that happened at the end, but it's just a nice way of tracking how everything is progressing. Reclamation links Sacred Coil to a variety of City 31's missing persons, all human. Stop these human abductions to recover them from Sacred Coil. Time is of the essence. All right, sick. So it's Friday. We earned a payday. We got some additional intel, and we can now recruit a new agent before we go out and check the battlefield.
The director convinced the city council we're too understaffed to be effective. This means we can bring more agents to City 31. It's not the whole squad, not yet, but it's something.
So a couple of cool options here. Claymore using explosives, so you can throw a shrapnel bomb every turn and then shoot at it if you want, or you can throw the shrapnel bomb, wait for it to detonate, and take a shot at something else. Eventually, this is one of his upgrades, concussive charge. It's a breach thing, 1 use per mission, okay? Cherub, he's got a kinetic shield charge. This is really cool. He can gain up to 2 charges by protecting allies with kinetic shielding. Having charge grants bonuses to several abilities. And then he has a shield. And as he stacks up these charges, he can deploy damage behind somebody that he goes to attack with his basic charge. The actual shield itself, he places on an enemy to prevent damage from the next attack. Agent gains 1 charge when the enemy shield is destroyed. Does not automatically end the turn. So really nice. And actually a really good combo with Axiom, because we put Axiom into trouble, and then he gets at least 1 free save. Axiom's got some higher level upgrades as well that can have some saves, so it's pretty nice. And then Godmother's another shotgun carrier. She's got Scatter Shot, which does kind of a cone damage, which is really good. She also has Alpha Strike as her breach option that she unlocks, and she gets a bonus action on her first turn. So really cool. All of these are good. I think just based on what we've picked, I'm going to go with Cherub. We're going to pick him.
Whisper. Hey, man.
Hey, what's up, buddy?
Cherub. Welcome to City 31. You up to speed?
Yeah, I can't wait. When do we head to the field office?
This is the field office. You get used to it.
Really?
Actually, no.
Okay.
It's a dump.
But it's
Look
our
at the
dump,
positive side.
so we'll make it work.
I wish we could bottle his enthusiasm.
Exactly. And they all have really distinct personalities that I love. It's so cool. Okay, so traditionally, the way I like to end a mission or a video.
Of City 31's missing persons, all human. Stop these human abductions and recover them from Sacred Coil. Time is of the essence.
Generally, I like to set up for the next mission. We have 4 available right now. This one is probably the one we should do, okay? This will get us credits. These ones are kind of side missions.
I'm Commissioner
Anything in
Maloof
yellow.
of 31 PD. To be blunt, I don't give a Chryslet's ass about the politics. I'm glad you're in the city. 31 PD was stretched thin before the mayor's death. There are gaps to fill, and that's where you come in. When your agents can handle a situation better than my officers, I'll send the details your way.
Sounds good,
If the city council
Maloof.
has a problem with that, I'll take the heat. They can't afford to fire me. I look forward to working with you.
This Commissioner Maloof, I cannot figure out what the reference is, what Maloof is, where that's come from. Maybe it's completely original, but it's a strange original name. So we have the option to do side missions. These 2 icons here means 2 days towards our operation reveal, which is our big main mission stuff here. And I would honestly say that getting that under control as soon as possible would be beneficial. So I'm likely going to go to rescue Outspoken DJ here. And we'll probably switch up some of our guys and maybe put some into training and bring on our new guy. Or we just put our new guy into training. But I kind of want to show you him as we go along here. Does that mean we don't bring Axiom? Maybe it does. She's really good against robotics with the zaps and the control. The healing's really nice. Torque is probably the weakest against robotics, but still useful against all the other enemies that spawn. I think for now, let's actually... What if we put him into training? Let's get his HP up a little bit so he's less fragile. We could put him into Spec Ops. We could put him into the assembly to reduce the time for this, but I think right now it's okay. And we'll put Cherub out here and try that out. So yeah, our next mission is going to be the Fringe. I know I said I'd go through all their bios, but the video took a little bit longer than I was anticipating. I hope that I didn't over-explain certain things, that everything was clear. If you guys have questions, please let me know. But in the next episode, we're going to dive right in. And at the end of that, I think this will probably be a shorter mission because I won't be over-explaining everything. At the end of that mission, we'll go through their biographies and we'll learn a little bit more about all these characters because they have some really cool stories that deserve attention, and we're going to get into that. Guys, thank you so much. If I could ask you again, if you did enjoy the video, if you could drop a like, it helps me a lot. It helps the video get noticed, helps the channel grow, all that cool stuff. And I appreciate you guys being here. I know a lot of you are like diehard XCOM fans, and I hope we're going to have a lot of fun with this game. I'm excited to see what kind of mods get put out. If you guys have any cool mods that you see in the workshop once this is launched, let me know about them, because I'd like to start a series where I'm showing some of those off. I think that would be really fun. Thank you guys. We'll see you very soon, and bye for now.